It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando from the PVD Cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos. Ding, ding, ding! It is time once again to get back in the ring with us right here at, of course, the State of Pro Wrestling. It is Gerald Glassford for the Pop Culture Cosmos, Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football Game Source. Truly appreciate you joining us once again. Make sure you hit that fantabulous 5-star review wherever you get your Apple and also Spotify podcasts. And for you folks watching on the fabulous YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, follow, like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff to go ahead and help us out. Hit that notification bell. Ding, ding, ding. Just like you're the timekeeper. So you can go ahead and get that notification on when the State of Pro Wrestling comes back again each and every month indeed. But I wouldn't be the State of Pro Wrestling tag team without my tag team partner in crime. It is a guy who probably just went in the back, probably just hit somebody upside the head with a chair in one of those, hidden or unseen, as far as one of those beatdowns to eliminate a challenger or two. It is, of course, the man behind the PVD Cast and Matt Talk, not affiliated with pro wrestling. Actually, Matt Lock, not Matt Talk. It is John Orlando, and John, it is back again. Another year. It's almost done here. Essentially, it is because the WWE has already taped its shows for the rest of the year. And what a year it's been for 2024 in pro wrestling.
Yes, it certainly has been a year of tremendous highs and some regrettable lows. But nonetheless, I'm looking forward to talking about 2024. When you pitched that original idea to me, I think 4 or 5 weeks ago, last time that we spoke, I was excited for it, but I knew it would also be a challenge because it's hard. I don't know, the older I get, and I don't want to sound like an old man, but the older I get, sometimes it's hard for me to remember what took place when.
Yep. A best way for me to go ahead and jog my memory, I did earlier today, was the, any various wrestling outlets out there, like IWDB, as far as the ProFightDB.com, Internet Wrestling Database. There's other places that you can use as resources that give you the best, the worst, and in the middle matches as far as what happened, of course, over the past 365 days, well, almost 365 days in the world of professional wrestling. John, before we get into that and the best and worst of pro wrestling, this past weekend, as we're recording this, was the WWE's return to broadcast television as Saturday night's main event once again appeared. And this will probably lead me later on into one of my selections as far as later on. But WWE has hit a high note again. This was probably the best show of the year, period, bar none. Stamp down, period. AEW, WWE, TNA, New Japan, AAA. Doesn't matter. This was the best show, the way it was packaged. The only thing I would have corrected on is maybe I would have taken one of the matches out, but they were all concise. The storyline, the angles, the matches were all competitive and done really, really good. We knew the results from everything, including who was going to win the U.S. Championship, because we knew Michin won the dumpster match. She had to return to favor for the U.S. title, and Chelsea Green is becoming someone backstage that is very much liked about that, as far as her persona, both off the air and on the air too, as far as in the ring, people seem to like it as well, as far as out there in the audience. But the way this was set up, the way this was done, the way this was shot, produced, concise, the way it was explained, thinking it was more like to a general audience. So they did quick explanations of things. Despite Pat McAfee being on the show, I still think it was one of the best shows I've seen in over a decade, my friend.
And for us hardcore fans, there was a great mix of nostalgia along with the great action, the well
Yes.
done packages, and everything. I mean, I
They
actually,
bought up Animation Obsession, and they
yeah,
brought back the music back from that era, the theme music as well. Yes, well done, absolutely well done by the WWE.
the one thing that I actually liked, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I liked how if you're in the third match, they recapped down in the corner just by pictures, just by visual alone, who won those matches. Drew McIntyre and Sami Zayn. I thought that was ingenious. I
Yes,
and for a guy that sometimes complains about too many tickers, with our sports feeds and whatnot, I thought that was clean. It was informative. It wasn't a distraction. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, I would expect that to be.
it was a very slick presentation overall, my friend. It was very well done. It was concise. It was straightforward. Yes, maybe the matches rushed a little tiny bit in some areas. Again, I would have probably taken out one match and let a couple of these other matches breathe just a little bit more. But I'm telling you, my friend, the way it was shot, the way it was presented to an audience, both the general and a wrestling fan, as far as that's concerned, was definitely a highlight for the industry and probably putting its best foot forward. It did get about 1.5 million, probably closer to 2.5 million when you consider the fact it was also shown on Peacock as well. I don't know if they consider that a success or not because 1.5 million broadcasts is right around what they do each week on Raw and SmackDown. But I will say, as far as a presentation, it doesn't get much better than this.
My only half-hearted remark that I have to say that would make this better is if it was on 11:30 at night, because that, as a
I
kid, that
agree.
that was something for me. Like for my mom and dad to be
I
like,
didn't know until that day. I didn't know that. I assumed it was going to be tape delayed and showed on after, in the Saturday Night Live spot. And then I saw, oh, Saturday Night Live's on too. What time is it actually? Oh, it's on at 5. That's like 10 minutes from now. I turn on the TV.
yeah, I just I mean, I know why they're obviously not doing it that way, because they want the kids to fall in love with the product and whatnot, and the general casual fan to fall in love. But to me, like, part of my childhood was that option that I got every once in a while to stay up way past my bedtime and watch WWF Saturday Night Main Event.
There you go. Absolutely. This was definitely something worth watching again. It was, again, for me, one of the best shows I've seen
Hmm.
in a long time. The way it was cut, the way it was presented, like you said, the touch of nostalgia, but it didn't overload you with nostalgia. It just sprinkled in there. It appreciated what came before it and also presented you a package of all the stars knew that they wanted to present to a general audience out there that may not be familiar with the WWE product in 2024. So this was absolutely a great lead in. Plus, they also sprinkled in some advertisements for WWE on Netflix as well.
They did, and you know what? The one thing you talked about, the nostalgia, and how can we forget Jesse the Body Ventura returning? And
Hmm.
Gerald, I thought he did pretty decent for being gone for so long and probably not keeping up with the product like some
Yes.
of us do. I
Mhm.
thought he did a pretty darn good job at commentary.
If he wasn't 73 or 74 years old, I would have asked him as I was Hunter Hearst, Helmsley to tell him, you know what, you can, we'll pay you. Stay here. Pat McAfee can stay home. Yes. And we'll just leave it at that. That was the only one detraction was Pat McAfee came back in a surprise. And it's kind of like the surprise when you're having a birthday party and everybody's, all your friends are gathered around. And then there's that one guy that comes in through the door. Is like, oh, dear God, my birthday party's going south. Yeah.
It's becoming kind of not a surprise, I think, that he's there, because when they announced it and the music started playing, I'm like, okay, I'm not excited for this. I mean, I was excited before, like when he showed up at various other events, but it's getting to a point now where it's getting long in the tooth, folks. You know, we
Well,
expect it now.
I will say this. He will appear on one of my lists later on as far as
No.
concerned. So, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Indeed. But it is, of course, Saturday night's main event. If you have any thoughts on Saturday night's main event, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com or Mad Talk and the pvdcast.com as well. But before we head to the first break, my friend, I wanted to ask you about this TNA. We talked about it just before the show. I wanted to go ahead and hear your thoughts on TNA's rise, supposedly in 2025. They have big plans. We may want to cover it later on if we have some moments left on predictions. But one of the things that they did this year, while, Scott D'Amore, they had a nasty breakup there. We all know what happened there as far as Scott D'Amore now running his own promotion, et cetera, et cetera. TNA, now this almost like conglomerate backstage crew trying to piece this together with what they can. It seems like, as far as the WWE relationship has strengthened at times, they've got some NXT wrestlers coming in and out. But the one thing that was constant between TNA was the rise of Joe Hendry. We even covered it on the show a few months back, where he had reached, as far as such a level of popularity for a guy on a lower tier promotion, that he was seemingly the hottest name or one of the hottest names in the business. When he went, whether he was on NXT or whether he was on TNA, it was something where somebody needed to pull the trigger and give him the run and give him the ball and running it with it, charting on Apple as far as his theme song on Apple charts all over the place and all that. Just his level of popularity seemed to be something out there, but nobody really quite did. He kept on getting screwed over, kept on having to go ahead and now fight from the top. The thing is, as well, John, he might have another shot at a world title coming up soon against, of course, Nick Nemeth. But I don't know. The magic is starting to lose its luster, I think, with Joe Hendry. What are your thoughts before we head to the break?
I agree with you. I think that things are cooling off for Mr. Joe Hendry, and that's a sad thing. I don't understand why promotions can't just go with the hot hand.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Hendry we talked about this with Sami Zayn a couple of years ago when he could have won the title in Montreal, held it for a couple of weeks, dropped it back to Roman. Here's the same scenario. I think that they are doing a disservice to the character of Joe Hendry by having him do all these kind of unclear finishes. We'll just leave it at that, okay? And I think that hurts the character. Is he going to put butts in seats with this new idea that TNA is going to go and do bigger market areas like Los Angeles and New York City? I don't think he's putting butts in seats, with all due respect to Joe Hendry. I think that TNA, if they want to really come off as looking like a really solid alternative to WWE, if they do these New York City shows and these LA shows, they got to stack that deck. They got to see if they can borrow talent. I'm just thinking that, if the WWE is cool with having Joe Hendry on NXT and Jordan Grace on NXT for one of these big shows, do they borrow the world champion Cody? Maybe. I don't know. I think that if I was in TNA, I'd be a little bit leery that I'm going to try to go sell out. Well, the UBS Arena is 16,000, I think, home of the Islanders. You're not going to do that, TNA. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Joe Hendry is someone that they probably needed to keep on NXT, maybe even get their title, and probably needed to go ahead and say for his own career. I think TNA, I think I need to move on and evolve from that, because even if he wins the title now, I don't see him elevating the promotion to where it needs to go unless WWE helps TNA along in that fashion. So we will see, my friend. But yeah, I thought it was a little bit, if he does win it, too little, too late as far as it's concerned. So with Joe Hendry, I think they should have capitalized a lot sooner, either NXT or TNA. But again, we will have to wait and see how 2025 evolves for Joe Hendry and TNA, and we'll see how that goes. I know Jordan Grace is leaving the promotion. She is headed most likely to NXT or WWE at some point, as far as what the rumors are being told. And Josh Alexander is also another big name from TNA who is also leaving in early February as well. So with that said, they're going to have to elevate new stars. I just think they did it a little bit too late. Concerns Joe Henry.
And you know what? I hope that I'm wrong on all my predictions. I really do because I don't want TNA to go under. I don't want them to disappear. I
Mm-hmm.
just question the larger arenas. Why at this
Yeah,
particular junction in time?
you see how
Um,
well it served AEW.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. They're doing the reverse of what AEW is doing now because it seems like Tony Khan got the message: scaling back, smaller arenas. Put 4,000 or 5,000 rowdy fans in there and go from there. And I don't know. Again, I want TNA to be there because I want all the talented people in the wrestling industry to have a shot somewhere to work. And don't want that to happen where TNA suffers. But I really am. I am really concerned about this idea.
So, what are your thoughts out there on TNA? Should they have pulled the trigger on getting Joe Henry into the promised land with the title win, or NXT as well? Is the Joe Henry aura and mystique lost its luster for good? Please let us know your thoughts, Pop Culture Cosmos. Or let's follow us, not only Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com, but Matt Talk and PVD.com as well. PVDcast.com as well. If I get that right. Whew. All right. There we go. But my friend, one breakdown, three more to go right here as far as this concerned. This part of our best of pro wrestling 2024. It is John Orlando for the PVD cast, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate it. I hope you can adjust your notes on your best of, because in the midst of me talking about Pat McAfee, I forgot to put on best commentator or color analyst. You could go ahead and add the best of on that. So yes, forgot to add that as well. I'm like, I put a worst of, didn't put a best of on that. So we will add that in there. But it is now the best of pro wrestling for 2024. And you want to start just straight down the list that I gave you, or did you want to go?
You know what? Let's go straight down the list. So help keep us a little more maybe on focus.
All
Maybe
right.
I don't know. Who knows? But
We'll
we'll
see.
try it.
Okay. We'll try it. We'll try it indeed, my friend. So first up, I have got the best male wrestler. So the best male wrestler of the year, in your opinion, is?
I'm going Gunther.
Ooh. I want to know why, because he did have a really good year, really strong year. He did get upended by Cody Rhodes in Saudi Arabia. So I want to hear your reason why you would put him over Cody Rhodes, Will Ospreay, uh, John Moxley, Brian Danielson, and some of the others that are out there, Roman Reigns, etc., CM Punk, Seth Rollins. Why Gunther?
Well, because I had Cody Rhodes down. I did,
Mhm.
but I just his year has been really solid. I mean, and look, I know he lost to Cody Rhodes in Saudi Arabia. I don't pay attention to the Saudi Arabian PLEs. I'm sorry, I don't.
Just cancel that out. That's fine.
I don't pay attention to it. I just think he's had one heck of a run. I mean, since getting the title and being that ultimate vicious heel, he's done a great job with that. They've even sprinkled in his interactions with Kaiser as well, because a lot of times you see teams like that, they split them apart and there's no like interaction between them. I like that he's had some advice for Ludwig Kaiser. So overall, I just think he's had a really, really strong year. Great matches, hard-hitting matches. He's doing everything that he can to be that evil heel, even though right now it seems like he's somewhere in between because of the situation with Judas Priest. No, that's a metal band.
You've got
Damian
another
Priest.
thing coming. Damian Priest.
Damian, Damian Priest, and Finn Balor, and he's kind of in that mix. I just thought that he was deserving of it.
Okay. Had a really good year outside of that blemish, but I think that blemish does it for me. I know that Will Ospreay has had more high-level matches this year than anyone else, but the fact that he didn't do it as the AEW World Champion still kind of does it give that thing for you as far as maybe it's like I don't know because even Gunther you could say is like a secondary title too because it's like the Monday world champion. I don't want to go on that diatribe I always go on, but even that is still not the featured title in pro wrestling in the WWE. It's the other world championship, which again sometimes I think that Gunther deserves better. Gunther deserves a bigger spotlight, in my opinion, as well. I'm not going to argue with that. Same thing for AEW. Will Ospreay is your best wrestler right now because you're obviously not doing much with MJF at this point in time. If that's the case, why isn't he your world champion? So if that's the case, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. They want to put him at it being the best worker, in the AEW and not give him the title that he's probably deserving of the most, or at least to try to see if you can have him run with the title and see what happens there. If he can't draw, then okay, get someone else in there. Bring back MGF, which is probably your best option. But be that as it may, my friend, I'm going to have to go with the safe route. I'm going to have to go with Cody Rhodes. I'm going to have to go after, the build from winning Royal Rumble, from winning the title at WrestleMania, being the preeminent guy that's out there, being the voice and the face of the WWE in many facets, in many ways so far this year. Him beating Gunther, I will count the Saudi Arabia deal. But again, I know that he's lost, a tag match, a couple just to build up feuds, whatnot. He doesn't have a perfect. None of them do. None of the guys have a perfect record, so to speak, per se. But be that as it may, I think that overall, Cody Rhodes has probably had the best year of anybody in pro wrestling, and with that, I think he is deserving of the nod for me, my friend. Your thoughts on Cody Rhodes?
Yeah, I really really struggled with crossing him off the list because I agree he's had a heck of a run, and look what he did at Saturday Night's Main Event. I mean, not only did he have a great match, but he also did the whole angle where he got beat up and package pile driven, and to me,
our thoughts are with Cody Rhodes right now after that devastating attack. It's so terrible that happened. I'm really feeling for him. Although maybe just had was just given like, oh, early holiday. There you go.
all right, were you going to give the address? You can send your cards and letters to Cody Rhodes at
Exactly, the
WWE.
letter writing campaign. Yes, that was always back in the day. That was just always so fun to hear. We've had like thousands and thousands of letters hoping our wrestlers are okay.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
exactly.
Okay, but go ahead, my friend.
But no, I think Cody's had a tremendous year. And look, I think you hit the nail on the head too. He's the guy that's going out and doing press. He is trying to be the face of the WWE, and he's doing a great job at that role. Yeah, I mean, what more can we say? I mean, the accolades that he has accomplished this year, fantastic. That's all I can say.
Best female wrestler on the planet. This one might be a little bit harder because Liv Morgan has had a great year. Nia Jax came back, has had a great year herself. Mariah May, Tony Storm was dominant for the earlier part of the year. Mariah May, and that probably what many are considering AEW's best or maybe only really good angle. I still like the MJF Will Ospreay angle personally. I thought that was really good from that aspect of it. But Mariah May and Tony Storm, that angle, Mariah May came out on top on that. You could also say her, Gilia, just so many different individuals. Vasquez, Rock Perez from NXT, she has been dominant there. Who, in your mind, has been the most dominant female wrestler this year?
Well, you forgot about Tiffany Stratton, Miss Money in
Yes,
the
sir.
Bank.
Tiffy time, although she has lost a few matches here and there that kind of set me back. Although her growth and her acceptance by the fans, it's there. It's on its way. Tiffy time is almost near, in my opinion.
Hmm. I look for her, as a side note, I look for her to become a huge baby face in 2025. That's one of my predictions. I think
Hmm.
the fans are eating up what she is giving off, in terms of her aura and their character and that. But even with that, I did not go with Tiffany Stratton. I went with Liv Morgan because I feel like she's had the best year. She got the opportunity to be the champion in Saudi Arabia. I don't know what's that belt called. The internet. No, it's not international. What is it
It's just
called?
whatever. Yeah, I know she won the ultimate. Let's just call it the champion of champions between as far as
Okay.
where the two champions got together to see who was the best of, and it's like the championship you could only have on hold for one night only, and then they keep it in a museum, a WWE museum in Saudi Arabia. So
Yeah. So I think that she's done well. I mean, her matches against Rhea were fantastic.
mhm.
Um,
Rhea
she's got.
Ripley also had a good year up until
Yeah,
that time.
yeah, absolutely. I think Liv seems to be more comfortable in the role that she is playing than maybe in previous years. So I think that definitely, for me, this was a no brainer. It was Liv Morgan.
I also think Rhea Ripley, though, had detraction. I think last year was her year. This year, but that especially was looking good because the Dominic Mysterio turn and the way that he went for Liv Morgan. I like that aspect of it. But her two injuries this year, I think,
Hmm.
ultimately put her out of the mix. Under the radar, I want to give some credit to Michin. She appeared almost everywhere on every SmackDown, Raw, and also NXT, and had great matches in every one of those platforms. The dumpster match also had a great match, I think, with Kalani Jordan, where she actually dove into a chair. If anybody
Hmm.
remembers out there, so yes, she had a great year as well. I'm expecting bigger things from her down the road, but I'm going to go 2 for 2 with you, my friend, on Liv Morgan. Just slightly over Mariah May. I think that Liv Morgan, her year, I think you cannot discount it. The full weight of what the WWE wants to do. I was kind of surprised that they're putting their full weight behind her, but her promos are good enough that they're able to get the crowd going. As far as whatever feelings that they have for her, one way or the other, just seems to elicit strong reactions, and I think that's the goal. Her in-ring work was solid. It's not eye popping. There are better wrestlers you could name off by maybe at least by 10 before you get to Liv Morgan in the WWE or worldwide. But still, Liv Morgan is solid in the ring, and she was really smart about how her character was laid out. And then ultimately, that's the thing. It's not just what you do in the ring; it's how you carry yourself on the promos, how you carry yourself on presentations, how you carry yourself out there to the public at large. That determines exactly overall your character. Again, Honky Tonk Man didn't hold the Intercontinental title for umpteen, 100, 1,000 plus days because he was a great wrestler or because he had a super physique. He held it because he had a great gimmick and was great on the mic. And with her, again, she's not the biggest, she's not the strongest, she's not the fastest, she's not the most athletic, but she gets the job done because she has that it factor that everybody wants to see.
Agreed. And the fact that she's also still aligned with
Judgment
Judgment
Day.
Day, and has her own like set of lackeys within Judgment Day. She has, of course, Raquel Rodriguez
Rodriguez. Yep.
and Dom. So I mean, talk about building heat that way. She could do it that way as well. Yeah, overall, fantastic year for Liv Morgan, and hopefully a great 2025 for her as well.
Once again, it is John Orlando for the PVD cast and Matt Talk, along with me, Gerald Glassford. We're tagging in right there. We're heading at it at the State of Pro Wrestling, best of pro wrestling and worst of pro wrestling in 2024. Going to try and see for the last half hour, we can run all this down and then maybe even sneak in some predictions as well. All right, what's coming up next on the list is Best Tag Team male or female. And my friend, I think this tag team year was there's either hot years and there's not years for tag team. There is
Hmm.
no two ways about it. And this was not a year for tag team wrestling. I think when I went down the list as far as thinking and remembering what great tag team matches I saw, I I couldn't even get to five. So your thoughts on the best tag team of the year
Well,
for
originally I wrote down the Motor City Machine Guns because they finally made it to WWE, but then I started thinking they just got like the titles kind of handed to them, and there was no build. And so, if you have just a casual fan tuning in, what's the hook for the MCMGs? Which I
Mhm,
love the Machine Guns. Don't get me wrong, I really
mhm.
do. They're very nice guys. As I've had some interactions with Alex Shelley. He's a very nice guy. Um, but there's just nothing there. It happened oh so soon and way too quickly, if you ask me. I don't know. I couldn't find any tag teams. I mean, I like the Acclaim, but they didn't have a real strong year, and they might be breaking up. I really haven't seen a lot of the Outrunners. I've seen their stuff
I would like
outside
to
of the
see
ring.
more of the Outrunners, but they're not even given a push. So, it is what it
Yeah,
is.
FTR's been flapping in the wind. Nobody knows. Even NWA's tag teams aren't that great. I mean, Murdoch and Knox, okay. That means I stuck with the Bloodline, Tamatonga and Tongaloa. Did they have great matches? They were okay.
There's actually one or two that they actually had that were really eye popping. That's like, yeah, they were part of a couple really good matches. So I know a lot of flack gets on them as far as their work rate. People sometimes like them and Solo Sokoa. It's like, are they guys that you should have at the top of the food chain as far as the cards are concerned? But the people are being drawn by it. So I can't say otherwise as far as the bloodline, John.
Yeah, so that's who I'm going with, the Bloodline.
Well, ditto me. Again, by default, it
Yeah.
is the bloodline for me because, again, when I looked at it, some of the best matches, tag team of the year that I've seen uh, did involve them. And I think by that measure, plus the fact that they were a part of the probably the best or most popular angle of the year, by default, I'm giving it to the bloodline as well.
Hmm.
All right. Best match. Yes. So we got through best male wrestler, best female wrestler, best tag team, best match of the year in your eyes this year.
This was the hard one to come up with because I really had to think, and even I did some research by hitting the Google machine, top matches of 2024. But I ended up going with the most recent really good match I saw. Okay, now I know there's probably dozens of better matches than this one, but this one I really liked. It hooked me as a fan, and that was from the Survivor Series, LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I thought that was the best match on that PLE. I think it was the best match I've seen in a few months. It told a fantastic story. I mean, just LA Knight did his very best to get over as this unsure champion, even though he's always been cocky and arrogant, but he was unsure about Nakamura. And I felt the finish was great too. And I think LA Knight does better chasing the title than being the champ. Just I think he's one of those type of guys.
There were actually a few contenders this year. I thought overall for quality of matches, I thought we had some really good choices. I think both WWE and AEW and New Japan and AAA, I think they all had really good representative matches this year, and I was able to catch a pretty fair amount of the matches this year. I do want to single out some, like for instance, the triple tag team championship match involving the ladders that the Bloodline, who we talked about, Tamatonga and Tangaloa, that they won. I think that was a fantastic match. I also think that Will Ospreay, I've talked about this before, as far as him and Josh Alexander earlier in the year with TNA. That's a match that if you find it, you're really going to like that match as well. Uh, I think Kanosuke Takeshita against Will Ospreay. That was at AEW Revolution. I thought that was a fantastic match. I think it really solidified Takeshita right there at a world stage. I think people took notice to that. And was it that because that match often Will Ospreay gets all the credit for his matches, and everybody forgets about who else is in that ring. He does elevate individuals, and I think he elevated Takeshita in this match. But Takeshita has since gone on to really prove himself as well. But when all comes down to it, I think for storyline reasons, I think for the fact that obviously as well for me for just entertainment purposes, man, there were really a lot of good matches this year. But I'm going to go with MJF and Will Ospreay at the Dynamite 250, the 59 and a half, as far as 59 minutes and 30 seconds, or no, 59 minutes and 55 or whatever seconds match
Yeah,
that they had.
whatever.
Yeah, where he won just at the very end. I think that was a surprising result for me that he did win. No, not that he won, because I had a feeling he was going to win, but the way he won it, because it looked like it was heading towards a draw. I thought that was probably the best creative decision AEW has made in a long time since when MJF was champion. I think that's probably the best I could say that. Yeah, that's my match of the year. I think that was a fantastic match. It incorporated everything from high flying to mat wrestling to brawling outside the ring. And I think that in doing so, it also solidifies the reason why Will Ospreay is a great wrestler and one of the best that has been on this planet for this century, but also also as well MJF, and one of the reasons why he's one of the best villains of the century as well.
Agreed.
So coming up next is best. I'm going to put the best commentator or color analyst right here, my friend, because
Okay.
before we go, best on promo, best dressed, and everything else on that. So best commentator for this year, my friend.
Well, he is an Ohio guy, but I think he's done some really great work, especially in NXT. I'm voting for Vic Joseph.
Really, really good as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't say. You know what? I think I'm going to go ahead 2 for 2 on that one. We're Vic Joseph, really solid. Michael Cole, I think, in the years, he's been more of a student of the game than he was back in the day. Back in the day, he was more like Vince McMahon. Now he's more like an actual wrestler that's able to call moves, able to call in the ring, but still get over storylines. So I give him credit for really improving his game, but I'm going to go with Vic Joseph. I like listening to Vic Joseph. He doesn't supersede the broadcast. He invites you and is welcoming you to the broadcast throughout, educating you with moves, but also being able to get over storylines as well. I think he is the future of what the WWE should be. I'm not a huge fan of Tessitore, but he's not the worst I've heard. I mean, he could have done a Mike Adamle, which is what I was expecting when I was in there. But yeah, he's done all right. So yeah, but I think right now, as far as that is concerned, and AEW, I mean, they are what they are. Love them or hate them. Again, I just don't think they're great, and there are a couple announcers there who probably past their prime. I'm sorry to say, but I'm just going to have to cut it and say it like it is. But yeah, for me, Vic Joseph as well, NXT.
And he does a great job of working with Booker T as well,
Mm-hmm.
because Booker T gets some flack for not being the greatest color commentator, but
Mm-hmm.
I think he does well with Vic. I think they play well with one another, so to speak, or play off of each
Yes.
other, so to speak. So I think that that's just another reason why I voted for Vic.
Coming up next after that, again, with going back on our list, is best promotion. Uh, I think this one was the easiest of all. There is literally no competition for this out there. We're not like trying to come across as WWE lovers, WWE marks, but if you look at business wise, storyline wise, creatively, yes, they've had some misses just like every other promotion. But with Japan not being nearly what it was a decade, 2 decades ago, with AEW, with their declining ratings and being in the mess that they in, although congratulations, they at least solidified themselves for the next few years. with their contract with Warner Brothers, I cannot see anyone telling me why that they wouldn't think the WWE did not have the best year in pro wrestling, John.
They've had the best year, I think, probably in a very, very long time.
By
Uh,
anyone, yes,
but
I
yeah,
agree.
right. By anyone. Like when they say that, I think on Saturday night's main event, they talked about how wrestling's hotter than ever. Yeah, it is. And it's because of the WWE. And like it or not, because there are fans out there that do not like the WWE, no matter what they do, you got to give credit where credit is due. They've done a fantastic job. And, you know, you have to ask yourself, is that because of someone that's not there anymore and we have new people running the show? So, or whatever the cause may be.
I mean, we'll tell you yes, but
Yeah,
go ahead.
right. I mean, but
This is something we pined for when we first started. It happened as far as who
mhm,
needs to be running the creative. It happened, and look what's happened.
exactly.
Absolutely. So that's the thing with professional wrestling. The promoters and the people running the creative, as they get older, some of their ideas get stale. They have to realize that maybe they should pass it off to someone that maybe has a better finger on the pulse of what's going on in society and what they may be able to touch on that sparks interest. And Triple H has done just that. So yes, best
Mhm.
promotion is World Wrestling Entertainment indeed. And I know this shows come off like, oh yeah, you guys are just loving the WWE. It's there. How can you argue with the success that they've had this year, my friend?
Agreed.
Best on promotions. Who's the best promo this year? Not the best promo overall, best promo period, whatnot, best promos overall as far as their lifespan. Who gave the best promos this year?
Well, time in and time out, he was given a microphone and he delivered. CM Punk is my vote for best promo for the year because no matter if he was talking about his feud with Drew McIntyre or
By the
his
way, I want to
victory.
say that Hell in the Cell match they had was also on my list as far as top matches are concerned. That was just missed. That was also a great match as well, John. Forgive me.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no. So I think time in and time out, he's done a fantastic job on the mic as he always has. I mean, I think that definitely you could say that CM Punk has the gift of gab, and he drives home his points. And come on, we love it when he digs a little bit at his opponent, whether it's Seth Rollins or if it's Drew McIntyre, and you get some of that inside baseball jab, at his opponent. Punk's just he's the man when it comes to promos.
2 for 2. 2 for 2. And I think that CM Punk may have had a better year in promos. Not the pipe bomb, of course, notwithstanding. But I think in AEW, I think he had really one good. I mean, let's just say 365-day period where he pulled off some zingers, especially with MJF. But this was really, really good year. Cody Rhodes was solid. And when you have to be in that position, Cody Rhodes is solid. Gunther, I think, is also very underrated on his promos as well. I know the Bloodline, they had their good promos and whatnot, but MJF, again, sparkling, but he was not put in the limelight after his fallout with Will Ospreay, and that I don't know what angle there. I think if we had a worse angle, I think we put the him and the Adam Cole.
Oh yeah.
Adam, yeah, I think that's probably the worst angle I would probably put out there. Yeah, so that probably kind of did for me. So CM Punk is the best on promotions indeed. Your thoughts, my friend?
Well, and I agree 100% with what you said about
The
the
worst
worst
angle.
angle. Yeah, that
Yeah.
that was a waste of his time. And I know recently, Punk has come out and said that he's maybe wasted some opportunities by being in AEW. I guess
He wasted on some individual matches. Yeah,
yeah,
his
right.
bump card. His bump card checked off a little bit too much on some of the individuals he faced.
Yeah, but again, he's a master on the mic.
Oh, there you go. Indeed, it is still of course, coming up right here for you right now with our last segment of the day. It is, of course, John Orlando from the PVD cast, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. The State of Pro Wrestling. It's the best and worst of pro wrestling for 2024. We'll get to the worst of. Just talked about a little bit of that. If we'd have done a best angle, worst angle, I think best angle, as far as I would have put the bloodline. How can you say as far as money drawing? That's a given right there. And I see you agree with me on that.
Yes, I
Uh,
agree.
uh, these are a couple that you asked to put in, and of course, I always respect your judgment on that. Best dressed. So, who is the best dressed right now in pro wrestling?
Well, let's clarify that for the viewers and the listeners.
Mhm.
When we say best dressed, I was just looking at gear. Just how does the wrestler incorporate their gear to present the character? And this was one that I had Chelsea Green down on, and then erased it. And then I went back to another individual that I originally wrote down, but I'm going to go Braun Breaker because I like the throwback to dad and uncle's tights. Like the singlet with the loud colors, the weird patterns, and on top of the fact that he's just a monster right now and is riding a huge wave of, I'll say, popularity, but yeah, people dig Braun Breaker, and I mean he's an ultimate specimen that definitely is going to be at the top of the card for many, many years to come.
My best dress, I think I probably have to put this as far as not only in the ring, but out of the ring. I'm going to go with Cody Rhodes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yes, the American Nightmare outfits that are inside the ring and then outside the ring, obviously, because he is the champion. I don't really, I, I don't really think you should put 100% on the champion having to go ahead and wear the suits all the time. But then again, it's the Ric Flair persona. Look what he started. Ric Flair
Mhm.
having to wear suits all the time. So maybe it just elevates in a lot of in some people's eyes as far as how a champion should conduct themselves. So with that said, I guess I'm gonna have to give it to Cody Rhodes just by the fact that, again, both is there's so many fantastic outfits in AAA, CML, uh, Europe, Japan, AEW, you name it. All there's a lot of fantastic outfits inside the ring, but who does it outside the ring, I think, carries some of that with me as well.
That's a good call. Inside and outside of the ring. I never thought of it that way. I was just thinking of, boots and tights, I guess.
There you go. Another category that you have thought of is best referee. I don't know what I should say. We should put there who takes the best referee bump. No, I'm
Oh.
kidding. Yes, because those poor referees, they always get hit and injured in the ring. I wonder why. That's so terrible of them to do so. Okay, the one thing I do want to say is also Saturday Night's Main Event. Did you actually see a shot? I maybe saw one shot from that ref cam that they were doing off the side of the. Did we see any more than just like one shot out of that?
No, because this is the second or third time they've had ref cam and it doesn't work. Just stop it. Just stop it. Nobody cares. We don't need a ref cam.
Unless it's part of an angle. Unless
Right.
a
Yeah.
wrestler like just like knocks, like a ref bump, or like if there's a special referee like CM Punk again, and just hits the camera. But I don't think they want to risk, the cost of damaging that camera. But who is the best referee in your eyes, my friend?
I'm giving it to Jessica Carr. Great story. Been there 5 years. She's very good in the ring because you don't really notice her. And that's always my rule of thumb with the referee. They should be there and they have an important role, but I really shouldn't notice them unless it's designed that way to notice them. And I just think she's done a fantastic job and deserves the credit.
My best referee, I'm gonna have to go with the old standby, Charles Robinson. And just go there. I mean, he was there for the limelight as far as the big matches now. He's there in the limelight for WCW. He is one of the individuals from WCW that transferred over and didn't get a lot of heat or didn't get a lot of backlash as he moved over from the WCW to WWE. He has been a credit to the industry even to this day. Still looks like he can go ahead and still work the match with the best of them, even though he's probably around my age at this point in time. Yeah, all credit to Charles Robinson. He is my best referee of the
You
year.
forgot
I
he's
liked it.
little. You forgot he was Little Nate too.
Yeah, Little Nate. That's absolutely his days. His Little Nate indeed. But yes, shout out to Charles Robinson. A credit to this industry and continued success, my friend, and many more years to come in the referee industry. But I do like your pick as well, John. All right. So I think that's the pretty much the design of it. I think we've talked about that. We've talked about every best of, best commentator, best promos. Yeah. Talked about everything there. So now we get to the worst of. And in many ways, this is the most fun spot of the evening. So we have less than 10 minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and run it off real quick. Your thoughts on your worst male wrestler of the year?
Orange Cassidy. We're gonna push him to be a world champion, dude. I still don't understand his character, and he's been in AEW for 5 years. I don't get it. Orange Cassidy is my worst wrestler in terms of the male category.
I wish I could do a worst tag team, but we didn't do a worst tag team this time around. Otherwise, I would have put the Young Bucks in there. But I'm going to go with Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia, to me, just does not look like someone who you should be elevating to that level. I know he has a little bit of fire from MJF because MJF elevated him, but Daniel Garcia, to me, I see him and I see like you and I coming out of from the stands and wrestling. And, and it just does not impress me at all that this guy is getting, you know, I'm glad he's getting the success I never want or wish for any, even for Baron Corbin, who was like my worst wrestler, like 5, 6, 7 years running. I never wanted him to not achieve a level of success and not have success for himself. And nor do I wish that for Daniel Garcia. I just don't see anything that impresses me.
Mm-hmm.
Orange Cassidy, you're right. I hate the gimmick. Never really appreciated that gimmick. I cannot stand the fact when he puts his hands in his pockets. It's kind of stupid in my sense. But yeah, I'm going to go with, for myself, Daniel Garcia. Worst female wrestler to you?
Nia Jax. I think again with her showing at War Games, it just solidifies the fact.
Don't let her throw a chair at you. Don't let her hit you with that chair. Yeah,
no,
really look good.
I'm staying away from Nia Jax. If I run into her, I'm going to run in the other way.
I'm going to go ahead and I don't want to say 2 for 2 on that because she was the title holder. Is there a individual wrestler that women's wrestler that really just makes me cringe? I think probably if I had to go through it, I probably want to say it would be Nia Jax. Yeah, at this point in time, although she does have the title, it's just I think the fact that Zelina Vega was before one of my worst wrestlers because of her size was just anybody of a certain height, it just was not a good fit. It was always a mismatch or whatnot. But I think at a level that she's at, Nia Jax, she does not have she has a limitation to her matches, and she's not in the era of Becky Lynch, Asuka, and Charlotte Flair to make her look really, really good now. There are very few women out there that really have the size or the strength or the audacity to be able to work with her really well. So she's a mismatch on fit a lot. And plus the fact, again, throwing that chair shot that has embarrassed a lot of people out there as far as the industry, the way that she threw it earlier this year, yet doesn't endear herself. So I'm going to go with that as well. Worst tag team. We do have a worst tag team. So I already named my worst tag team. Who is your worst tag team on there? Because the Young Bucks really did it for me.
I'm going with AOP. Again,
Okay.
another gimmick that I've never understood. They're in the Final Testament, which that stable. I mean, you talk about mismatched and misbooked and not pushed, and I could go on and on for 20 minutes on that group. But AOP, again, I haven't seen them on TV in a while, so I don't know what they're doing, but I'm assuming they're still on the roster.
I'm going to go ahead again. I said for reasons I've already talked about, the Young Bucks. I mean, whatever their schedule is, they've got a sweet deal. Congratulations to them. They got into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame. I don't want to go into that because, again, I don't think they're not my cup of tea. They never have been. I don't think their wrestling matches. They've had a couple of the good ones that I've seen over the course of my life, but they are not at the level that they've been able to outproduce the level that I think that they should have been at as far as their ability and their talent is concerned. So they've been able to outshine that. They've been able to outwork that as far as it behind the scenes, and more credit to them because they made a lot of money for a team that probably should have gone down in any other industry or any other part of this century or even before any other decade. They probably would have been just a jobber tag team at that. So more power to them indeed. Worst match of the year.
This was a hard one, but I'm going to go to WrestleMania 40, and I'm going to say Jimmy versus Jey Uso. I was
I'm going to
bored with
double that one. Yeah, I
I
would
was
say that.
bored with that match. I thought it was pointless.
At the stage, it's the stage that
Yeah,
also as well.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if that was on Raw, no arguments from me. But it was on WrestleMania, so
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough to, when you're at that stage, which is one of the biggest shows, if not the biggest show of the year, to pull off like that. Even they are disappointed with how it went. And they're brothers, which just makes it worse because they're supposed to be able to coordinate. You think brothers would be able to work better than anybody else to make a match at that level.
mhm.
But yeah, didn't work out. Worst promotion of the year.
I really had to stretch for this one because I don't think there's been a really worse promotion, but only because I watched a few of episodes this year, I'm gonna go wow, Women of Wrestling. It's the hokey gimmicks, the bad matchups, the botches in the half dozen or so episodes I watched this year. Yeah, it wasn't good.
I would certainly have them in my top three. NWA also as well for whatever going on. I don't even know what's going on with that company. MLW, the best thing that happened to them is they won their lawsuit or got settled for the lawsuit. I believe is they settled. I don't know if they won. They settled with the WWE on their lawsuit. So when that's the highlight of your company and your promotions year, that doesn't bode well for your promotion.
No.
But number one is AEW. They are the worst promotion of the year. It's dictated by the numbers, the product that they put in the ring. However you said it, however good you feel like it, as far as the promotion, the feel, the matches, the results is what's matter in this case. And the results have not been good. Declining ratings year over year, declining house attendance year after year. They now are really in. You can't be in trouble because they've got that sweet deal with Warner Brothers. But if they were in a promotion at any other time in history and you saw the numbers, it wouldn't be looking good. So they are my
Mhm.
worst promotion year. They're the promotion that had everything given to them and a very much a platform to put themselves into the stratosphere and have blown it so far. So I'm going to go with that. Worst commentator or color analyst. I already gave my card away. Pat McAfee is probably the worst commentator of the century, in my opinion. Your thoughts on what your worst commentator or color analyst out there?
The AEW Dynamite crew. I'm just
Not too far behind.
Yeah, I mean, Tony Schiavone's just not good anymore. He's lost it. He's absolutely lost it. Taz is good. Excalibur's kind of getting wishy-washy on me as well, just because of some of the things. He doesn't really tell you the story of the match. He
Take
tells you
off the
moves.
mask, please. I'm done with
That
it.
doesn't bother me. That doesn't really bother me, but just his commentary does. His commentary does bother me.
So, with that, my friend, it is the best and worst of pro wrestling for 2024. It is John Orlando from the PVD cast. Please be a part of it today at pvdcast.com and Matt Talk. Matt Talk, where they talk everything Matlock right there for you. Go ahead and check that out. Not Matt Talk, as far as on the mat, but Matlock for Matt Talk. Before we head on out, my friend, any quick predictions before we head on out for 2020?
Yeah,
Hopefully better. Hopefully the ones better that work out better than what I did this past week.
I'm gonna say CM Punk, Seth Rollins, match of WrestleMania weekend. There you go. I'll throw that out there. That's my prediction.
I'm gonna say for me, the prediction that I have is that NWA might fold. I'm
Mm.
expecting one of these promotions to fold. I went from TNA this year. I'm gonna say NWA.
Mhm.
NWA looks like a product that's on death row. It just seems like there's just who cares about what's going on there, and I'll leave it at
Agreed.
that. So, John, it's been a great show. Thank you so much for joining me, my friend. As always, you've been a great stalwart for what we're doing here. But I think another prediction I'm going to leave is that you and I hopefully will have another fantastic year of pro wrestling in 2025. As John Orlando for the PVD Cast and Matt Talk, what's going on there on PVD Cast and Matt Talk before we head on out?
Well, we're getting close to the end of the year where I'm going to take a little time off.
You can't do that. No, you can't do that.
It's just a week, Gerald. It's just 1 week. That's all. But right now at pvdcast.com is where you can find the episodes, also available through all your major podcasting outlets. Matt Talk, we still have one more episode for the end of the year that's coming up here in about a week. And, that's available over on Facebook. Just check out our page, which is Matt Talk Podcast. And you can watch the streams through Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, all those usual places. Just look for Matt Talk or Matt Talk Podcast.
Should have angled it where one of your guests, again, behind the scenes, backstage, jumped you and just laid you out for a week, and you need a week to recover. So there you go. So,
but when I do, I'll come back with a mask on. I'll be the Midnight Rider.
There you go, indeed. Once again, it is John Orlando. Please go ahead and check them out today on the pvdcast.com and Matt Talk. And then for me, of course, the Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, Game Source, Pop Culture Cosmos, PC Multiverse, and of course, everything that we do here once a month. Of course, at the State of Pro Wrestling, part of what we do here. Hopefully you will go ahead and have a 1, 2, 3 victorious year in 2025 from all of us at the State of Pro Wrestling. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Ding, ding, ding. It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando for the PVD Cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos.